Julie, welcome. You're on KLO 1430.
Hello, Mills. Good to talk to you.
My pleasure. For those of you who are not familiar with Julie, through the years I've had dozens of people who've had near-death experiences, but the most profound, the most complete near-death experience I've ever come across was that by Julie Rowe. Julie, before we get into anything else, I want to set a pervasive rumor to rest. Is there a third book?
No, there is not a third book. There has never been a plan to have a third book. There will not be a third book. Okay,
fair enough. I do want to mention that you have an event coming up in Ogden, Weber State. That's next Monday and Tuesday. Is that correct?
Right, a week from today and tomorrow. June 22nd and 23rd. It goes from 9 to 6. I speak roughly between 1:15 and 3:30ish. And there'll be several other speakers there, a lot of really great speakers. Dr. Bradley Nelson, Kirk Duncan, some other really great speakers. I don't know all of them. I haven't met most of them. In fact, I think maybe in person, just one. Dr. Nelson is the only one I know for sure that I've met in person. So I can't vouch for them. I don't know exactly even what people are speaking on. I just know that I'm supposed to be there and to help with, facilitating people getting some information and knowledge that might be helpful for them.
Before we take any callers, I would appreciate it, Julie, if you would give a synopsis of your experience so that people who have never heard you before will have an idea of what we're discussing.
Okay. And before we do that, I need to kind of put a little disclaimer out there. If I ask you to repeat yourself, Mills, I've had a bit of a head cold congestion, inner ear thing going on for the better part of a week or so. And so my ears are plugged up, kind of like when you have plugged up ears going swimming or on an airplane. So we'll do the best we can here today to hear what I'm supposed to hear and say what I'm supposed to say and listen how I'm supposed to listen. And of course, this being your first show on this new radio station, right? So we've got new lines. Communications maybe a little bit different because it took us a little bit for me to get in with some of the interference. And I just thought I need to let you know that. I didn't know if that had been communicated to you clearly, but I know that we will have clear communication. It's just, with the interference that I've got going on here and with the lines. How does it sound on your end? On my end, you're a little muddled, but I can work with that.
Well, you're
Am I
crisp.
muddled on your end? Okay.
From our standpoint, you sound very crisp.
Okay. And I'll try to work on my enunciation. There have been some people that have said I talk fast or maybe a little strange. That might be because I'm military kid, moved around a lot of different places, so I have little accents picked up from all over the country.
We'll just ask listeners to listen fast.
You listen fast, right? Or replay it again. Maybe they hear it. Maybe they can hear it more than once and figure out something new. So that sounds good. Anyway, so I'm here. I'm hoping that maybe a third to halfway into this phone call, my ears are going to just kind of unplug. It'll make it a little easier on us. So. Anyway, it's mostly my left ear that's plugged up, a little bit on my right side, and par for the course there, but that's okay. So anyway, moving on. We're moving on, right? You asked me a synopsis or something?
Yes, please.
Of what, like me, what I've been through, how I got here? Or?
Basically, what you were shown. You had a near-death experience, and I think that is well established. The critical thing is, what were you shown that is of import for the listeners?
Well, for me, which is majority of what I've shown, it was all important. All of what I've shown was important. As far as it pertains to other people, I in no way have any stewardship over anyone else. My own children, I have some limited stewardship, and other than that, I don't have any stewardship. So what I share today is just what the Lord has been kind to share with me, and what I committed to do a long time ago, made a covenant with Him a long time ago that I would share, to a limited degree, what it is I feel maybe impressed to share that could in some way help maybe someone else, whatever that may be. And really, that's just me a matter of sharing. I just want people to listen to what I'm saying here. I'm sharing my experience, It may or may not apply to you or anybody else who's listening in, and it might. And I don't have agency. I have agency, but I don't have stewardship or any way to know for anybody else, to whatever degree that may impact them. But the Lord does, and so He can communicate to people what He wants them to know and how He wants them to know it. In my situation, I had what some would call a near-death experience, or termed NDE. My heart did not stop beating, as far as I know, but I was hospitalized. I've had more than one of those experiences, but I only talk about one in the first book, which is called The Greater Tomorrow, and then the second book, The Time Is Now. We can go into a little bit of that later. I know it's important for people to know who I am, who this stranger is to many people, so that they can kind of let their guards down and not be as scared or afraid of who the messenger is. And what's been given to me is this really is not about me. It's about Father in Heaven and our Savior Jesus Christ and the plan that they have for us. I am just like the rest of the Lord's children and those in His army that help to send messages to give us more clarity and understanding of what it is He'd have us do at any given time. And that's the message I've been given and that I'm supposed to give, is that I'm just one of many. And we're all, when we take upon us the name of Christ in whatever form or fashion that may be, that's what we commit to do. That's what we covenant to do, and that's what we promise to do. That's what we promised before, long ago, before we came to this earth, and it's what we continue to promise each and every day when we commit ourselves to living the best we can and to be followers of Christ. And so with that, comes from everything from whatever faith we participate in to all of God's children. I've had some feedback that, people have had an issue maybe with who I am, and I'm not supposed to focus my time and attention and details on defending me or who I am, and not even the message, because that's not my job. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I'm not here to save anyone. The closest we have to any kind of convincing, which isn't even the right word for the job that we have as members of the Godhead, we have God the Father and we have the Son, Savior Jesus Christ. They work together in unity with the Holy Ghost. 3 separate personages that work in the Godhead, which I know to be true, and I've seen, and I know that to be true. And so that's first and foremost that I testify of that, also of the plan of salvation and the plan of exaltation for God's children, that it's possible for each and every one of God's creations to experience that. And that we have choice and accountability there, just like we did before the world were and are created. We have choice, and at no point in time is it too late. If we messed up yesterday, it doesn't mean we can't start over today. And the plan is real, and that I'm not unique in this. Every single one of us who are on the earth made a choice at one point in time to accept that plan and to come on the terms and conditions that were given to us, and we agreed to it. We're not victims, we chose it. So I'm here to rejoice in that with those that want to rejoice in that message, knowing that even as we have hard days, especially going forward into some of the tribulations and things that we talk about, prior to the return of our Savior, which is known as the second coming of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, which is true and will happen as prophesied in Scripture by lots and lots of people, many, many thousands of years of prophets and apostles who have testified of these days that we're living in and that we will yet live in. Many of us to go through great tribulation, or what's considered or referred to in the books of Scripture, particularly John, who was given the assignment in the book of Revelations, Isaiah, Daniel. There's so many others that were given different assignments, like we all are given assignments, and John specifically talks about our day as well in the book of Revelation and the 7 years of tribulations that will be upon us. And it's necessary for us to go through those to help prepare us for the great and glorious day of the return. And that's what we've kind of all been waiting for a long, long time, and I'm excited. Try not to be fearful of those, but be excited about the time and day and age that we live, because
Julie, we're coming up. We're coming up in just a few seconds to a spot block. Julie, welcome back.
Thank you. So right before we had that break, I said I need to interject. You know this by now because you talked to me here and there. So you know I have these thoughts. Some might call them random thoughts that just kind of come out. But I want to kind of clarify a few things going forward for people. I hope this will help clarify. That is that I do the best I can to listen and to hear and to feel and then say. And so that can change what the message is at any given point. So if it sounds like I'm jumping around, there's a reason for that. But those with pure intent and clear hearts and minds, if they don't have it, they can get it through the direct source of communication of all truth, which is through Father in Heaven, through the Holy Ghost. And so if something doesn't resonate or isn't making sense, or it sounds confusing or threatening or scary or whatever it is that's going on at whatever level, they can just take it to the Lord, and that's what we are counseled to do, is ask the Lord about that. The other thing is, I want people to know that, Mills, you and I, although we had a conversation last week, nothing that has been discussed today or that will come up is anything that we have, quote-unquote, planned. Meaning we don't have, like, an agenda. They need to know that. It's live. It was planned probably a long time ago, but not, so it'll be interesting because essentially the way I look at it and the way I see it is, you and I will just be doing the best we can to have an open dialogue, and whoever else calls in that participates in that, to have an open dialogue to facilitate learning and growth on our part, and to just share and testify and witness and help wherever we can because of the love that we have for Father in Heaven and for those who, our brothers and sisters. And so that's my motive. That's where I come from. And I'm not concerned about, again, defending or convincing. We have the Holy Ghost that testifies and witnesses of all truth.
All right, let's go to some...
And then we have the Savior, and He takes care of saving us. So I'm not sharing anything that comes out today. It's not because of fear. This is a message of hope and love and testifying of the Savior, and that they planned these things. They're absolutely orchestrating it, and we're just helping to facilitate getting word out and maybe help ease some fears and things like that. And I really don't even know the whole picture, other than I know that the Lord loves all His children, and I just feel good about what we're doing. So
let's go to some very specific questions, and you may not be able to answer this because you weren't shown everything for everybody, and I think we need to make that clear. But a caller wanted to know off the air whether you were shown what Oakley and Camas Valley will look like after the big quake.
About what and Camas? I heard Camas. What
Oakley and Camas Valley, what will they look like after the earthquake?
I don't even know if I know for sure where Oakley is. I've heard of it. I don't even know if I've been there. I may have been. Camas, I have a rough idea of a picture I have on the map. And that's an area where, again, if I don't answer the question, it's not avoidance techniques or, there's lots of accusations out there of why people communicate the way they do. I'm going to try to listen to what is on topic and what we need to focus on. What I am hearing right now is that's an area that we need to just kind of focus on the next step ahead of us and not worry about what's coming after, because we've got to get through the day so we can get through tomorrow to get through the after that.
All right. Shelley in Sandy is online. Let me bring her on if I can master this.
And Shelley, no offense to anybody, I like to jump ahead. Trust me, I would like to jump ahead past all the nitty-gritties and tribulations. I like to jump ahead and get on with the next thing. So I don't mean by any offense to anybody who asked that question or who has those concerns. I deal with the exact same thing every day, I think. And I just skip over this yucky stuff. I'd like to get to New Jerusalem. But just move past it,
Okay, Shelley, you're on.
Anyway.
Yes, I'm on. Hey, Julie, if you had $1 million in your bank account, knowing what you know, what would you do with it today?
Well, if I had $1 million, I have never had anything close to $1 million. I have a limited budget. What works for me is for me alone, and I know people want to know this because they want to be able to say, hey, this is what she did, so I'm going to do it too. So the answer to that is I'd make sure that I was doing the basics to get my life in order and following the promptings and impressions I have from the Holy Ghost, following the teachings of the living past, present, and living prophets of our church, of the LDS church. Pay attention to what they've said about everything from food stores to hygiene kits to every, 72-hour kits and basic preparedness of any kind of disaster, whether it's unemployment, an economy issue, maybe we need to do a diet change. There's lots of things there. So just whatever the Holy Ghost specifically tells me, and therefore, what the Holy Ghost would tell you, anybody else would be individual to each of us. In my situation, I'd like to get a bigger trailer, but that's not in my budget right now. Maybe later. But that for me would come after I have all the other ducks in a row, like making sure I have at least my 3 months supply of food, 72-hour kit, and 3 months supply of food, at least a year's supply of food or more if I can do that. If you had $1 million, you could do a lot for a lot of people. And
Shelley,
if I had
thank
$1 million, I'd buy a warehouse full of food to give to the world.
Appreciate that call. The number to call is 866-627-1430. Next up is Jessica. Okay, Jessica, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Jessica. Hey.
Hi. My question is, on things you've seen of the future, either just for yourself or of the world, will they play out just how you've seen them, or are they conditional on agency?
Okay, so I got a little interference that I couldn't quite hear. Let me see if I'm repeating this correctly. And the things that I've been shown as they play out for me and for maybe the United States and the world, and then I didn't get the last part. Is that right?
Yeah, I was just wondering if they'll play out exactly how you've seen them, or if they're conditional on agency.
I don't know. Agency is an eternal principle, and I wasn't shown, exact. This is how it's going to happen. I was shown scenarios. I was shown examples. I was shown sequences. I have been given some dates, but my understanding is, with some of the other things I've been through in my life, we always have agency on both sides of the veil, and that's continual and eternal thing. And so, yeah, there are some deadlines, I guess you could call them, or some end times and end dates, but my righteousness or my wickedness or any degree therein is not going to change the date that's been established for when, for instance, the second coming is going to happen. But everything between now and then, I really don't know. I just know I'm supposed to do the best I can with what I'm given today, and maybe I have clarity today on something, and that is I'm given maybe a different instruction later tonight or tomorrow. It's ever changing, but the time isn't kept the same way. So whether that means it changes because of our agency or because of whatever factor, I'm not privy to that knowledge.
Thank you. Appreciate that call. In that regard, there is a lot of speculation about economic collapse, and that's coming from a wide variety of sources. I was really rather surprised to find out this morning that Pope Francis has joined. He is warning the global economy is very near to collapse. Source after source after source.
I would say, sorry, I'm going to probably be really annoying, Mills, because this impulsivity that I feel right now, like if I just ask for your forgiveness and apologize in advance if I cut you off and talk over you, okay?
That's all right.
I've been accused of doing that in the past by some people, and it can be annoying, and I recognize that. But when I get excited about something, it's like like I said, I want to jump ahead. I wanted to be like, let's take off with this. Pope Francis would have a pretty good idea. He's in with some pretty higher up. And you can take that however you want. That's the clarity I have right now. So he would have a good idea about some of that going on. But we don't want to put our faith in man. We want to put our faith in God and not worry and panic. And there's two sides to every coin, right? So we follow the light, and we have faith and put trust. At some point in time, my understanding is, clarity I have right now, is there will be a collapse. There will be at least one initial quote-unquote collapse, a smaller one, but that's not like the initial huge, I don't know, that's not initial.
We'll get back into that in more detail. We're going to have a short break right now, and we'll be back with my guest, Julie Rowe. Julie, are you there? Got you now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got a little interference. Part of our regular life.
It's
We all get it,
interesting.
right?
The one thing that we did talk about before the show was the fact that you anticipated that there might be some outside interference on your appearance, and it appears
nothing
that is
coincidental,
so.
right?
Yes.
But the Lord has an important message to get out. There's always going to be interference.
No question. All right. Let me ask you some things that people want to know. Did you get an impression that September is a critical period of time? This September.
I have to laugh because I'm like, all right, I need to hear what the real answers I'm supposed to give here. My personality is actually very direct. People that know me know that where I have no fear, I can be direct. But also, if I'm instructed not to be direct, I'm not. So here I'm going to say critical is a relative term, but in my mind, there's some important things coming up in September.
And would one of those be a financial collapse?
There's always a potential for that.
I'm sorry?
There's always a potential for... hold on just a second. Can you hear that in my voice still?
Yeah.
I got a clarity issue. It's a possibility.
Okay. Let's go back to the phones. Jennifer is up next. Jennifer, welcome. You're on with Julie Rowe.
Hi, Julie. I just have a question. Does the 9th of Oz have any importance this year?
The 9th of Oz?
The 9th of Oz, A.V.
Are you talking about the Hebrew?
Yes, the Hebrew.
There is significance. People need to research and study that on their own. I can't go into detail on that because that's a personal thing. But yes, there's significance to those dates. There's significance to the Hebrew calendar in terms of, some people might call them sign seekers. But my understanding is there's things in the scriptures we talk about, the signs of the times. So things like the tetrad or blood moons and things like that, there is significant. Not everyone's ready or willing or able. Not everyone's ready or wanting to accept some of the signs going around. So it's an individual thing, an agency. So I don't have stewardship. We just have to have the Spirit guide us on that.
Right.
Jennifer, thank you very much. Next, we're going to South Carolina, and Cindy. Cindy, welcome, and thank you for calling from South Carolina.
Thank you.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Julie. I'm calling from, as you said, South Carolina, and I've listened to a lot of your interviews, and a lot of it has to deal with the saints on the West Coast. Have you seen in your visions anything that's going to happen to the good saints here on the East Coast? Are we going to be going out west, or are we going to stay in tent camps?
I don't know what you're going to do. Okay, let me stop real quick. Let's break it up, okay? I appreciate the question, and I'm going to do the best I can to be clear on this. I don't have stewardship, so I don't know what you or anybody else there is going to be doing. But I have seen case scenarios of things going on all over the country in different places in the world that are similar to what each and every one of us may or may not experience. And I did see many people going to places of refuge and different tent cities, organized by various groups of people, families, friends, communities, neighborhoods, churches, different denominations and groups. I don't necessarily know the rhyme or reason to a lot of that, but I did see it, and I did see quite a few people, members of different churches, coming west, and some going from the west, the West Coast, going inland, and lots of movement going around the country at different times for different reasons. And so the quick answer is yes, I did see that, but maybe not for everybody. It's an individual plan of happiness, individual plan of salvation, designed in the councils of heaven, primordially, whatever the plan was for you or for me or for any other individual on this planet. We took part in that, and whatever it was that we agreed to do or we needed for our life and learning, then that's how it kind of plays out. That's my understanding with our agency and the agency of others. And so we always have choice, and we also have accountability with that. So that's one of the other reasons I don't necessarily share things. I don't have stewardship. Is if someone has a question and I answer it, and maybe one person is ready to accept that, but another person isn't, once we have knowledge, we're accountable for that knowledge. And the Lord doesn't want to give us anything that we're not ready for, per se, because he knows that it won't help us. It will actually go to our detriment, or so it could be even to our condemnation if we are not willing and ready to accept what's presented to us. So having said that, I want somebody give me a good visual a little while ago, and that was, you're hearing this message or any other message on whatever level, okay, and you're trying to discern truth. You take a message, and you don't have to just hurry and grab it right away and pull it in, and you don't have to push it away. You can let it sit there in your hand for a little while until you're ready. But there will come a point in time where, I guess a good quote that I heard was, the time for preparation is past when time for decisions has come.
Thank you, Cindy. I really appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Next up is Deborah from Ogden. Welcome, Deborah.
Hi, Julie. First of all, I wanted to say thank you for sharing with us. And secondly, I pray for you and your family every night. You're in my prayers. And
thank you. We appreciate it. We feel it, and we need it.
Good. I was wondering if you know anything or if you feel about the Jade Helm 15. Have you heard of that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you share anything about that?
I can, and to some people say she didn't tell me anything, this is a cop-out, but for my protection, safety, and for yours as well as others involved, I need you to just take that question to the Lord, and he'll tell you what you need to know about it to prepare and protect and create or do whatever you need to do to handle whatever it is that comes your way, now or later. Not to be afraid, but put your trust and faith in the Lord. But yes, I was shown that. It's real.
Okay. Thank you so much, Julie, and my prayers are with you and your family.
Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate your call very much. You're listening to Drive Time Live, the Mills Crenshaw Show on KLO. The number to call, 866-627-1430, but you're going to have to be quick because the calls are coming in. Barb from Ogden.
Jade Helm. I'm going to follow something up on Jade Helm.
Okay.
I find it funny, ha-ha, interesting, entertaining. Those, maybe the quote-unquote powers that be that decide to determine or label different groups, different places, different states, whatever, right? We all have it. Everything from who they consider hostile or hostile territory. And I would say in those areas, you might want to pay attention to some of the things people are doing to be labeled that way. If they're a threat to those who seek to take away our freedom and our ability to take care of, then that might be kind of a wake-up call and a warning, maybe a little signal that, that's all I can say on that.
Okay, Barb in Ogden. Oregon, I'm sorry. Barbara, thank you for calling all the way from Oregon.
From Oregon. Oh, there's Oregon. Place too. Yeah. So, hi, Julie. I just want to share with you that I have spent a lot of years reading near-death experiences, and that's how I came upon yours. And I've had little tidbits of information here and there building up to your book. And I think it was one of the Lord's tender mercies kind of slowly getting me to a point where I could accept what's coming, because I'm the type of person, I don't watch the news. I don't want to look at newspapers. I don't want to know that anything is wrong because it's very frightening. And it's kind of opened my eyes. So I find myself watching a little more TV, turning the news on a little more often. But I have to be careful because I find myself going from faith to fear almost instantly. And I have to keep redirecting myself back to having faith. And so with that, first of all, I want to say thank you for all your tireless effort
of everything that you're doing. I could not do what you're doing, and I appreciate you so much for that. And second, my
I think you could
is,
do it. I think anybody could do anything we set our minds to through Christ. But let me back
well, I
up a little
suppose if
bit.
I overcame my fear, I could.
Yes, it's the fear factor, right? So it's the faith and fear, and I would be a liar. I would be a liar to say that I don't have fear or that I haven't had fear. I do. But the Lord's given us the power of the atonement, and He's given us a lot of ways to get over our fears. And one of the other things, and I will say we've got some things in place. The Lord has helped prepare, and we'll talk a little bit about that more later. But while I'm thinking of it, I am going to be helping. I've got actually somebody that's helping me facilitate those who are able and willing. They can go to my website and learn a little bit more later about essentially a group call session that is going to help a series of sessions that can help some people that would like some help in maybe clearing some stuff out, some of those fears and anxieties that we have about some of this stuff. So you can go to my website. You can Google Julie Rowe or JulieRowePrepare.com and find more about that, as well as the Ogden event, Fort Collins, or other stuff on the events page. So there's that part. When it comes to Oregon and other things, beautiful part of the country and great things going on there and planned there. But really, no matter where we are, not getting stuck in the fear, because that doesn't help us, right? It hinders, and that's a tactic of the adversary. Some of it we actually came with premortally. And then we have a lot of it from just things we feel going on around us in the news. You mentioned that you're paying attention a lot more, and that's a great thing, but being careful about what we allow into our homes. Everything from, obvious, any kind of technology stuff, but the news as we know it is not legit, it's not honest, and it's a lot of negativity. And so for me, I try to pay attention, but really learning to discern all the voices coming at us and all the energy coming at us. And I actually, personally, everybody has their agency. I'm just saying, for me, I actually don't watch the news. Every now and then I'll pick up on it, but I pay attention to other things going on. I read the news and I pay attention. But for me, the day of watching the news every day, I just don't need that negativity in my home and in my brain, and I don't need the images and all that yucky stuff. They could choose to report all the good things, and they don't. Right? But can you tell me, you know what I mean? We don't want to know if you thought there was any places of refuge in Oregon or not.
We're going to have to hold that answer. And Barb,
there's going to be refuge everywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
But I saw people fleeing Oregon.
We'll have to get into more detail on that after the top of the hour break. We're coming up on a major break. Barb, I thank you very much for calling, specifically calling from Oregon. We're talking with Julie Rowe. You're listening to Drive Time Live, the Mills Crenshaw Show on K-Talk. In the minute we have before the break, and it's just a minute, people want to know, when the emergency comes, do they need to turn their animals loose?
Can you imagine what would happen if people turn their animals loose? I can't answer that. I'm not planning on turning my animal loose.
Okay.
I'd like to take him with me, but it's individual. I don't have a Great Dane. I have a 10, 12-pound little puppy that's got a little bit of terrier in him. He might be good to keep around. So it's so individual, I keep thinking of turning the animals loose like at the zoo. So that's just individual. Whatever they feel confident they need to do to help their family, do what they need to do.
All right. My special guest is Julie Rowe. Julie, are you there?
I'm here.
Excellent.
I can say I'm back, Mill. That was some fun.
Well, it was.
Did your commercial break just end?
Well,
because I've been having a good time here trying to get back through. Yeah.
It's interesting because we not only had interference on the phone lines, we also had it on the satellite. Now, for the audience's benefit, Julie and I sort of joked about this a couple of days ago when we were talking about the fact that she would face opposition on the air, and boy, have we. It's very interesting. Let's go right back.
So there's a little lesson right there, right?
Yes.
This is what I have learned and continue to learn is if there's an important message, no matter who it comes from, even a simple person like me, the real message, if there's a message that's important, there's always interference, there's always opposition. That's one way we can know maybe to tune in or to change channel, change phone line, right?
No
Figure out what
question.
we need to do there to get through the interference because the Lord will always prevail and He will always get the message out. No matter what the opposition is. In fact, the opposition isn't what gives us the clarity. It just helps us get the clarity so we can fine-tune how to discern spirit, how to discern truth, how to discern true messengers. Anyway, little lesson I'm learning more and more about how important it is to pay attention to my surroundings and who it is I listen to or what it is I think and feel and say. Anyway, relative to phone lines today, apparently.
Let's go back to the phones. Sandy from Sandy, welcome.
Oh, hi. Hi, Julie. Hi, Wendy. I have a question for you, and it's twofold. So, I have heard that you are aware of who the Antichrist is. And,
Okay, so I heard that first part. You said, I have a question for you, and I didn't hear the next part.
She thinks you know who the Antichrist is.
My answer is not just one Antichrist. There have been many in past generations throughout history. There are many on the earth today. There are some very specific ones that I talk about in my book that I have seen and know who they are. And I don't know them personally. I'm aware of them. They're around. There's some more that will come on the scene soon, and there's a lot that are going to come forward in the coming days before things really hit the fan. Okay, there's not one single Antichrist. I mean, we have the Antichrist, right? When we know Satan's going to actually take possession later on. And he's, but...
okay, so I'm wondering about that. Can you tell me that it is not Prince William? Please.
That it's not who?
That it is not Prince William.
It is not Prince William.
I can't say anything. I don't know anything about that.
Okay, that's all over the internet. So I just wanted to know.
I mean, it could be. I'm not being told he's the one or not the one, but he does that. When you said his name, I couldn't even hear who it was you were talking about. So, take that for what it is. Maybe I'm not supposed to hear who it is. It's being muffled. I don't have clarity on.
Julie,
that's not the one that I specifically saw. That I have a vivid recollection of in my mind of shaking hands with another gentleman. That is not the one that I identify with. Whether he is an Antichrist, I don't know because Okay, so the one I specifically talk about, that's not the one.
Is Barack Obama part of that?
Part of what?
Is he part of the
coalition? He is part of the coalition.
Not the coalition. I know he's part of the coalition. I'm wondering, who that last day's Antichrist is. And he seems like a perfect candidate.
I'll just say the one that comes after him. How far after, I don't know. Will seem a lot more perfect. They'll seem so perfect that even the very elect will be deceived if they choose to be.
Okay.
Because he will be so good looking and so smooth talking and so handsome and charismatic and well dressed and perform miracles, quote unquote, that cannot be understood. He is from the Middle East, fire from his hand and lighting candles magically and stuff with water and all that,
Right. And If it's in the Middle East.
This guy works with a guy from the Middle East.
Say that again.
They work together.
Okay.
This Caucasian works with a guy from the Middle East. They
Okay.
work together. Now who's stronger or quote unquote braver? I don't know. They're all in it together.
Okay. All right.
But like I say, they're part of the coalition forces.
Sandy, thank you. Appreciate the call. Next up is Bill from Farmington. Bill, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Hello, Julie.
Hi.
I have actually two questions if we have time. The first is, did you see any solar panels in the Rocky Mountain places of refuge?
I like solar panels. I look forward to the day when I can get some solar panels for myself.
Did you see any?
Does that help? I've seen lots of solar panels all over. They're going to be great for a while.
Second and last question is, how will we transport our belongings between places of refuge in the mountains, Rocky Mountain?
I don't know how you and other people are going to do it. I don't even know if I know how I'm going to do it. Part of it's going to be by car, maybe part of it by trailer, truck, some by backpack, some by foot, and some by angelic messengers and helpers.
Okay, so by car means there are some roads open between those camps, apparently.
Yeah, different places. Mm-hmm.
Bill, thank you. Appreciate that call. Let's go south to St. George. Megan, welcome.
Hi. Okay, I have a question. Hi. Now you mentioned in your book that you had a miscarriage. And that you also mentioned about the children. A miscarriage?
Yes, uh-huh.
Now, and then you mentioned also that the children that died early would go to a different spot, a different place. Is that correct?
That is, let me give you a minute to think about that, because there's not a simple answer for that, okay? My understanding is that before we came to Earth and after, that in most situations we are in our adult form. Now, whether that's a hard and fast rule, I don't know, but the doctrine that I understand is we're in our adult form. I was shown children, representatives, I think, of different things to be able to teach me some things and identify. The understanding that I do have is that there are specific places for those who pass beyond the edge of accountability and they inherit a place in the heavens with our Father. And they've, at whatever point in time, and I don't know, every situation is different. In the case of a miscarriage, my understanding is sometimes that's just what it is, and they've fulfilled what they need to fulfill to get whatever body they have. In other situations, depending on what their life mission is, they have an opportunity to come at a later date or time or place. And it's different for aborted fetuses, because that's not necessarily a choice that they made. Someone else made that choice to end their life. And so there's not, I can't go into more detail. I can say that I have a friend, Sarah Hines, who has written some books that can help people in that area.
Okay. How far along were you?
I was not very far along. I don't really want to go into detail on that, because whether you're, 2 or 3 weeks along or in labor, or your baby has, passed away soon after, grief is grief. And while it can change, I don't want to take away from anybody else's experience. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I had mine at a certain point, somebody else had it at another, it just is kind of like, that's not fair to them or me or anybody else. So, just on a personal level, letting people know that the Lord is aware of each of us. He's aware of our pains, our sorrows, no matter if we've had one or many or none. As women, we mourn for the loss of any child. It's part of what makes us who we are, whether we have children or not. And we will be promised, whether we are able to have children in this life or not, we have all been promised by our Father in heaven that if we follow the commandments and do the best that we can, that at some point in time we'll be able to have all of those blessings given to us and restored.
Thank you. Appreciate that call. We have a break coming up, and right after that break, we'll be going to Colorado. You're listening to KLO 1430, the Drive Time Live show. Julie, we've got your back. Are you there?
Hey.
Good.
More, your staff, they're so patient. I need to put this out there so that they know. The clarity I have right now is the interference is nothing that they're doing right or wrong. They're doing right. They're doing fine. It's nothing they're doing wrong. It's just going to happen.
Let's go now to Grand Junction, Colorado. Jenny, thank you for being there.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You're on with Julie Rowe.
Hi, Jenny. How are you today?
Pretty good. And I just wanted to thank Julie and Mills for helping to open my eyes and my family's eyes and to get ready for the coming of our Savior.
Thank you. You know, really, we all know that it's the Lord that facilitates this, makes it possible, brings us together, and orchestrates it. And so I'm grateful to Mills for being willing to answer that call. And for those who, you know, are able to receive the message with open hearts and do the best they can to open their minds, open their eyes, and see. You know, thank you. It's a hard message. It can be a hard message to receive.
Yeah.
So,
well, my question has to do with, it was just within the last year and a half to 2 years, including me and several of my friends, we have felt drawn specifically to this area, and individually we have felt that our homes would be gathering places. And I'm just wondering if you can expand on that, if that's just a temporary, you know, a road trip to Utah, and so Grand Junction is just a natural stopping spot, or some of us have even been led to plant trees that would bear fruit in several years. And so anything you can add to that to help us better prepare would be helpful.
Okay, so what I'm getting, what I understand is that's what some people say the default answer, and that is take it to the Lord. It's individual. I don't have stewardship, but what I can share is, yeah, it's an important area of the country. All areas are for different reasons. Whatever the plan is that the Lord has for those of us in different parts of the country. Stop-off points in the Midwest and stop-off points in St. George, stop-off points in Grand Junction, stop-off points, you know, in Iowa. So lots of places. But what's a stop-off point? You know, are you there for a couple days? You there for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years? I can't answer that because it's so individual. What I do know is that there are people that I've talked to and lots of people that have contacted me and that I've been made aware of that are being prepared, whether members of the LDS Church or not, or of no faith at all. If they just are paying attention to what's going on in the world, they're being prepared how they need to be prepared, and as people are willing to act and do that. And so some people feel like they need to have things available on the home front. Other people are feeling like they need to kind of have more of a mobile aspect to it. And again, that's an individual plan for each person. And so I know that I'm here where we are for a little while, and when it's time for us to go to the next stop, we'll be there for a little while, and then we'll, you know, make an exodus and go west for however long we're supposed to be there. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that call. You are listening to 1430 KLO. The program is called Drive Time Live. My special guest is Julie Rowe, and we're getting calls from all over the country. Next up, for example, we're going to go to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Idaho, erase. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. Jeff, welcome.
Idaho?
Thank you.
Idaho.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Yeah, we're in northern Idaho, so it's Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Go right ahead, Jeff.
Coeur d'Alene.
Okay. Well, It's beautiful up there. But the question I had was several years ago, Elder Eyring in a state conference in Coeur d'Alene stopped in the middle of his talk and just pronounced this place as a place of refuge. And then he went on with his talk. And it was,
you know what I just said right before you said that? Sorry, just a second. I said that's a nice place safe.
And it's rather interesting. I heard your comments. My wife and I moved up there 3 years ago based on nothing but faith because we were told to. But our question is, we're looking to buy a house, and how big is the place of refuge? Do we want to, is it in Post Falls, or is it how, we just don't know where to buy because it's like, or even if we should buy, because we want to stay in that place of refuge because we were told to be here.
But,
so
there's the quote-unquote default answer. Take it to the guy who knows you best.
And that would be Father.
And who, yes, and who helps plan your plan. Meaning those final hours where you guys are doing the final plans and preparations, I wasn't in that meeting. So take it to him, and he'll direct you however you need to go. If you need to stay or go, and you know what? Maybe you're supposed to stay for a while and go later. And I'm learning more and more. The important thing is that I'm doing everything I can to listen to the Spirit and to make sure I'm discerning the Spirit to know that what I'm hearing is the correct voice and the correct messenger, not the fake. And being ready on a dime to go wherever I need to go, wherever the Lord wants me to go, when He wants me to do it, and how He wants me to do it. And having some flexibility in my quote-unquote plan, and that it's not my plan, but it's the Lord's plan, as it was signed and I took part in, so and agreed to. So maybe you'll be there for a while, and maybe you want to go somewhere else a little later, you know. And I can't speak for you because I wasn't in that meeting with you.
Jeff, thank you.
I understand. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jason, I'm going to hold you for a minute because we have a commercial break coming up very shortly, so I'll go instead to Gabriel in Provo. Welcome, Gabriel. Gabriel, are you there? Well, I guess we have lost Gabriel. That's too bad. I'm going to hold our call with Jason, who's calling us from Calgary. I think that would be Alberta, Canada. And so, Jason, be patient with us through this upcoming break. Julie, I really appreciate your being on. I know there are huge demands on your time, and there are so many people who want to talk to you. I perceive that you get almost hammered on a daily basis, and you're not a soothsayer. You're not a mystic. You can only share what you've been shown.
Actually, I can't even share what I've been shown. I can only share what I have permission to share, and people get bent out of shape about that permission word. That's the truth. It's no different than the rest of us. If we have directives and we have clarity that it's okay for us to have the go-ahead to say something, then we do, and if we don't, we don't. So even
we'll be right back.
Doesn't make it up.
Now, let's go to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Welcome, Jason.
Okay.
Hi, Jason. Thank you, Mel. Yeah. Hi, Julie.
Go right ahead.
You guys hear me? Oh, thank you. So, thank you for, really thank you for putting your message out there. We've been trying to prepare the best way we can over the years, and it's really kind of given us a kick in the shins to really double up our efforts. And it's one of the challenges we've kind of found is, planning. We've made big decisions recently that logically don't make sense, but we feel inspired to do those things. And so I guess my question is, how, knowing what you've known for so long, how do you plan for the long term as if, we've got 10, 20, 30 years, a lifetime ahead of us, but also plan for the future, knowing that things are going to change quite quickly and things can change drastically very quickly. How have you managed to strike that balance of, like you say, planting your cherry trees and planning for the future, but also keeping in mind things could happen quite quickly?
I appreciate the question. It's an ongoing battle. It's a daily battle. It's no different than what we each experience from the day we enter the world, which is to live in the present the best we can, take what we learn from the past, learn what we can and move on, and not live in the past, but also not live in the future, live in the present, well, preparing for the future, because our today will impact and sometimes even determine what our future is. And so it is a really big challenge for each of us. I'm no different in that. My husband and kids and those that know me well could attest that some days are better than others. Some minutes are easier than others, and really ultimately it just comes down to trying the best we can to have faith in the Lord, trust in Him and in His plan, knowing that He seeks our higher good and He knows and understands us, and to see the big picture, not getting bogged down in the details of the weight of it all, but recognizing it for what it is, but not more than it is, meaning focusing on the light, focusing on Christ, focusing on the happy side, because the other stuff is very real and we don't want to be in denial of it, but it can take over our lives, and we're not doom and gloomers, we're faith promoters. We are not doom and gloom. This is a message of love and hope, and of necessity and of repentance to prepare now, so that wherever we end up, there was a little while ago on the call some kind of emergency that came through that Mills mentioned. I don't know what it was because I'm a call-in guest here and I'm not near that area, but I thought about that and I thought, at any given moment we could have an emergency. And what is an emergency to one is maybe not an emergency to another, but at some point in time we will all go through one, if not many, emergencies in our lives. So I look at it, spiritual preparedness is key, and that's what we're hearing more and more is the main part. And as we're spiritually preparing, then hopefully we're doing what we can to get our houses in order and clear things out and simplify our lives so that we can fine-tune the skills that we need, whatever they may be, to help us in our preparations. Everything from, that threaded food storage word to, other necessities that we have to be able to sustain life. But what good are we to ourselves, our families, or other people if we are not mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually prepared the way we could be? Meaning, I know what it's like to, I guess, be a burden on other people or perceived burden due to health issues. And so I am doing everything I can just to try to get my life in order and be flexible and be in tune so that I'm not caught off guard. Being aware, there's still going to be things that, I guess, catch us off guard because we can't be totally perfect and prepared in all things, but we can be in tune so we know that in an instant, if we need to, we can change and make a course correction.
Jason, thank you for tuning in. I assume you're listening on your computer.
That's right, I am.
Well, I hope you'll listen tomorrow as well. My guest then will be Craig Hewlett, who is a very popular guest, and thank you for being with us today. Let's go now to Ogden, and in Ogden, we've got Linda. Welcome.
Hi, Mills and Julie. I'm so glad to have you back on the air. And Julie, in any event, you offhandedly made a comment, and I've wondered about it ever since. And you said you wondered why in heaven they wore sheets. They wore what?
Sheets.
Sheets. That's why they wore sheets, or why they wore robes instead of clothes like we wear. And I'm wondering about
I don't remember saying sheets. I didn't remember sheets. Robes? I have some clarity on that, and that's a pretty sacred topic that people need to explore on their own.
Okay.
I don't have a clear recollection of everything I've said. I've not gone back and listened to the majority of the radio interviews I've done or anything, and it'll be interesting when I get through some of the rest of the speaking stuff, then I'll maybe take some time and go back and go, wow, you put all that together between the books and the different radio interviews, and people could get a pretty good idea of some stuff going on. The sheep and the robes, yeah, they're significant. Okay. I didn't think of it as sheep. Yeah. So maybe that was somebody else's word. I don't know. Possibly.
Appreciate the call.
By the way, taking notes, I have to say, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Just because people say I said something does not mean I said it.
Oh, good point.
Goes back to people hearing what they hear. You can't possibly hear everything someone says and write it down fast enough and put it in context and get the right verbiage. So somebody communicated certain verbiage to someone, or they filtered it a certain way and wrote it down. A lot of truth there, but in between every single, and I haven't read all the notes that are out there, what people are claiming I have said or that have or haven't said. I would just say that of what has been sent to me and I've been made aware of, there's been mostly truth, some taken out of context, and some verbiage that's not been mine.
Well,
which contains context and meaning, right? Yeah.
Thanks, Linda.
But we do appreciate those who are willing to help.
Let's go now to Susan in Idaho. Susan, what part of Idaho are you calling from?
Idaho Falls.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, there's going to be all that going on. We need to unify and help each other. That's part of the plan. None of us can do it alone.
Gabriel in Provo, welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Provo, Utah.
Provo, Utah. Hello, Julie.
Hi.
All right. So I was sitting listening to the interview that you were having with Mills.
Which one? This one or another one?
Gabriel?
Hello?
He's gone.
That's Gabriel. Was that Gabriel? Is that the same Gabriel we lost before?
I don't know.
Gabriel is trying to get through.
I see a question on the board. That, what questions would you, Julie, like to answer?
So what would I like to answer?
Yes.
I'm happy to answer anything I can. So if you have some for me, Mills. Oh, I do need to mention while we're thinking of it. So we've got, I can't remember what we have said so far. You can go to my website, julierowe.com, julieroweprepare.com, or you can just Google Julie Rowe. If it doesn't come up right away, you're getting interference, try again. Anyway, Ogden, we have details about that. June 22nd, 23rd coming up. This Wednesday, the 17th, we've got a great guy, Ray Lambert, who's worked very hard on a live webinar. I did a series of pre-recordings, so my portion is not live, but the webinar is live with the others. That's my understanding. Got one coming up this Wednesday, the 17th. People can register for it and go to the website on that. Got a bunch of other stuff on there, some quotes from different books, Prophets and Apostles. We're working on a book list. Anyway, other events like the Fort Collins event coming up, there's still seating available there if people are interested in that. It's a free event, but registration is required. And the Rexburg event, you can find details about that. Registration is required. As of right now, it's not open. We've filled the seats, but we've got some flexibility there on some things that I'm working on as far as my guest list. So check it out. And Spencer Watson, he's helping facilitate some group calls for some clearing, and I guess you could call them energy sessions. That's a trigger word for people. But there is limited space available, and so if you're interested in that, that's a new development that we just are finishing the details on as far as corresponding and getting all that up and running. So right now we just have the link to his website, but more details to come on there. So everybody can check out that and anything else they want to on the website. Anything else, Mills, you can think of?
I'm glad that you got those in. Let's see if we can get another caller.
Hello.
Is this
okay? Let me mention something real quick, and I need to bring this up again later in case I forget at the end of the call for those that come in. There's been some kind of rumor that's come to my attention that apparently, maybe I say it, and not remembering, because like I said, I don't remember everything I say. I just I go off the cuff, and I do what I feel like I'm supposed to do, and say what I feel like I'm supposed to say. So, there's been an interpretation of that I have said that I had this quote-unquote mission and call. That is correct. We all have foreordained missions and calls. That's what I mean by that. And when it comes to the book, I was specifically shown and told how this was to go about. I did not seek a publisher. He found me. He was bought, and it was orchestrated. And I don't have time to go into details there, but everything from the covers of the books to the titles of the books to what's in them, there's details that are just fascinating there that were orchestrated not by me. And then when it comes to getting the word out, this has been facilitated by you, Mills, which we appreciate a great deal. But really, word of mouth. It's in Spiegel bookstores and Amazon and different bookstores all over the country, and I guess in other places of the world. But the question has come up again and again about if this is supposedly a message that God gave Julie to give to the world, quote unquote, something to that effect, then it should be made available to everybody for free on the internet in a PDF form. And I need to address that very specifically and put a stop to that and say it is what it is and it is how it is, because that is the directives and the instructions that were given and how it was designed and presented to me, that it was to be done for very specific purposes. And I'm not going to go into all of it other than
Julie, there are a lot of callers who think they are smarter than God. You just need to understand that there are too many callers who think they are smarter than God. Gabriel, I think we have you back. Is that correct?
Okay. Hold on to Gabe. Don't lose him. Hold on to Gabe, and I need to say this about the PDF. Here's the PDF. It's not going to happen. It can't happen unless somebody tells me otherwise. But right now it can't, because we all know what can happen if a document gets into the wrong hands and changed and manipulated to say that I or someone else said or did something that is not true, so that they can then essentially create a false idea or message or discredit an individual. So we can think of one specific individual that we know of for sure, and this is not the example. That I'm not comparing myself to this person or these individuals. This is the message that I've been given is, we know what happened with the story with the Scriptures with Martin Harris and what was designed there. And in no way am I willing to have this message in the hands of somebody who could then, in writing, spread that worldwide in an email format or other electronic format, to have words changed and context and messages changed. That's a big one. And there's a lot of other reasons given, but we won't go into those.
Okay, Gabriel, we have 1 minute before the break. It's yours.
Okay.
Sorry, Gabriel.
All right. No, it's all right. Thank you for sharing what you shared, Julie. What do you wish people would ask you? So much of what you shown was specifically for you, and people ask about whether there's going to be gatherings or this, that, or the other in whatever location they're in. And you always frequently say, that's not my stewardship, take it to the Lord. So what, having seen what you've seen, what do you wish people would ask you?
You've got 30 seconds.
I don't know that I've ever wished for anybody to ask me anything other than my husband. And he's a fabulous listener, I gotta say that. I don't wish anyone to ask me anything. I wish for them to ask the Lord.
We have a call from South Carolina. Melissa, welcome.
Hi, y'all. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, Melissa. Good. Hey. There goes the dog saying hi. I was just calling to find out. A lot of people say that they've seen that the Southeast get hit by a huge tsunami and a lot of other things happen. Were you shown anything about South Carolina, this area that you remember? And can share? And what? And can share?
Yes. Lots of tsunamis. Up and down the coast. All over the place.
So it's not safe to say.
It's not just South Carolina, all over the world. Right. All over different parts of the United States on the coast, up and down all the coast. Uh-huh.
The oceans are not going to be safe, are they?
Not according to Scripture. Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah. And all the other weather, we've got volcanoes and stuff. A lot of dormant volcanoes that'll be activated, and places where people didn't even know there were volcanoes, and all of a sudden they'll show up. It'll seem sudden, it's not sudden.
According to the book, we need to find our way to near where tent cities are going to be.
If you read, book 2 goes into more detail on that, starts from some of the things there. But really, take it to the Lord, and depending on what the plan is for each of us. And I can't speak. I know I said this, but I wrote it on Scriptural. So I'm just what I'm hearing right now is I just need to direct you to read the second book. Okay, I will.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. We appreciate your call. Not enough time to take another caller before the top of the hour news. So, Edward, I hope you'll hang on from Bigfoot. And Deborah from Alberta, Canada, we want to talk with you. Be patient with us. We're going to continue with Julie Rowe right after top of the hour news. You're listening, of course, to Drive Time Live, the Mills Crenshaw Show on KLO 1430. I do want to remind you that tomorrow's guest will be quite different. Craig Hewlett, they're calling in.
I can say something about Bigfoot. We got some flack from the Bigfoot comment from the radio. It was the second radio show I did when I was the only one I've done live in your studio. And what I can say about that is, I think it's really fun. I think it's really funny how people react to different information they get, whatever is true or otherwise, and clarify why Bigfoot and why that was mentioned is because I had some things going on in my life, and I had a question that I needed answered, and then I can't go into detail on it other than there was a reason. It was just, why would I know a random fact like that had to do with Bigfoot? It was legit. It doesn't make any difference in what's going on in my life right now or what will go on in the near future, but it was legit, and it was another witness and testimony to me that the Lord cares about even the very, very small details of our lives and the concerns that we have, even if they seem silly to other people.
Well, we'll give Edward a chance to comment on that when we come back.
I actually had people contact me that said nothing else resonated, but they knew when they heard that I was legit because they had a personal experience in regard to that. Is that something? Yeah.
I find it fascinating, particularly since I had, right after that show, I had a gentleman stop by the studio and share with me his personal encounter, and the detail that he imparted indicated that he really did have that personal encounter. So, yeah.
So to some, that was enough for them to turn off the message and say, she is crazy, just like I thought her, she's flaky or this or that. Well, the reality of the situation is that very same information resonated with somebody else who knew me to be a true messenger because they had a personal experience with it. It's no different than anything else we experience. If there's something that's resonating, it resonates for a reason.
We'll be back right after top of the hour news. Julie is my special guest. Julie, are you there?
I am.
Excellent. Let us go to Edward, who has been holding on for 22 long minutes. Edward, thank you, sir, and thank you for your patience.
Very patient.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Julie and Mills. I really appreciate it. Great show. And, Julie, I have heard all of the interviews you've had with Mills, and I've enjoyed them. And, my question is about Bigfoot. When you mentioned that, as I recall, you said something, I think you just said, he's real. And when you said that, I thought, I can believe that. And I pondered upon that, and I thought, God made sharks, and they will rip a man in half. I guess the thing I wonder about...
And what did you say, and they'll rip a man in half?
Yes.
They can rip a man in half.
Some of them are very nice.
And I'm just wondering, with Bigfoot, I mean, is he nice? Is he mean? How come we never see him? And I don't know. It's not. I mean, of all the questions you'll get, this is the least important. It's just like I just wonder. That's all.
All right. So here's what it is. Because it's okay for us to be curious, right?
Yeah.
But we also need to stay focused and not get distracted on things that don't, quote unquote, really matter. But the Lord cares about us and the things that are of interest to us. So here's my understanding, a little bit of it with Bigfoot is he's not Cain.
Okay.
He is, there's more than one. There's families. They're throughout the world. Here in North America, I guess you could say, I don't know if they're all one species. They're varying types. I think, they're somehow all related. We did not come from Bigfoot. He did not come from us, just like we didn't come from any other ape-like animal. And they didn't come from us. They're not the missing link, nor are the pygmies.
And they are real.
He's hairy. They're real. They perhaps they really do bury their dead. They maybe they have, just like all of us, eternal guidelines, rules, and things that they've been given, and instructions, maybe their behavior and what's good for them. Maybe at some point in time, they will show themselves and they'll be easier to find, and people will go, oh, wow, how about that? No different than anything else that's going to be revealed to us at a later date, whatever quote-unquote mystery of the earth or of the kingdom.
Well, we
can take it into deeper things like lost records and things like that. Why do we not have, so-called records of ancient civilizations here in America to prove the Book of Mormon or anything else? Those records are going to come forth. And one time, when it's the right time, maybe it'll be tomorrow for somebody, and maybe it'll be in 10 years that somebody will know for sure that Bigfoot's real. And in the meantime, you take it. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to reject it. You just kind of let it sit and go, that's interesting. I could see how that could happen. But I do know, maybe I know more of who he's not, which is, he's not human. He's a great, they're great big ape-like species of some sort.
Edward, thank you. I'm glad you raised that issue. Let me just add, Julie, that people forget that there were rumors about great apes for decades before gorillas were ever found, and gorillas were actually discovered very recently, and people forget that. Deborah from Alberta, Canada, welcome.
Yeah. Ancient civilizations, the Native Americans, Sasquatch. Yeah. Hi.
Appreciate it, Deborah.
My call.
Hi, Deborah.
I'd like Julie to know that I had the Lord bring both her books to me in a very interesting way, and I've read them both extensively. And I live in Okotoks, Alberta, which is about an hour and a half from Cardston area in southern Alberta. And you have talked a bit about the Cardston area being a gathering place. And
a lot of the people, and I appreciate people who have invited me there. It's not part of where I'm supposed to go, but I do want to let people there know that I hear you guys, and I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing some of you later on. Yeah.
Yes. So that means that you can't comment on it.
I don't know. What's your question? I don't know exactly.
Well, my question is, I'm wondering about the time frame in our area that we should be, what signs around us that we should be looking for in both, maybe could be the Jewish calendar, it could be the Jewish holidays, it could be the weather patterns or the stars, or this year or next year. What
evidences should we be looking for to help us to, we're already in the process of preparing, but that will give us a better idea of the time frame.
What's coming? What's already been revealed by past prophets and apostles and living prophets in the Scriptures. You need to go to the Scriptures. We have some great Einstein and Friend and New Era magazines that have great messages. Obviously, with paying attention to what's going around us, but really just the science has been given to us. We just need to dig deeper into the Scriptures, go back to the basics, not get distracted by the sensationalism, and I have been instructed to read my Scriptures every single day. There's a real power in that, real shielding and protection, literal, that comes from the divine, from Father in Heaven, with ministering angels when we do our Scripture study. And again, that's an individual relationship that we have there. And then anything above and beyond that we can do that's nourishing to our minds, bodies, souls, and spirits, that doesn't distract, but that uplifts and encourages us and doesn't limit us and doesn't limit God. And staying focused with our, eye on the mark. And having faith and believing that the Lord fulfills all of His promises to His children. And He is no respecter of persons. He loves every single one of us who has ever lived and whoever will live, no matter what country we live in or where we are. Although here in North America, and specifically the United States, it was designed and planned and being orchestrated for specific things to happen with the New Jerusalem. So there are different missions that different people will have there, and some will flee into Canada, and some will flee from Canada. So,
Deborah, thank you.
Refuge.
Appreciate your being there. We're going now,
and that's not my knowledge. That's out there. So anybody wants to say, "Oh, she's prophesying," I'll say, read our Scriptures, and there's lots of other, Clarkson Temple prophecy. There's lots of prophets and apostles modern day that have testified about different areas. So.
Let's go now to Indiana. We'll go to Tracy, who is calling us from Columbus. Welcome.
Hi, Julie.
Hi.
I have Columbus, a question for you. Columbus, Indiana.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Columbus what?
Yeah.
Indiana.
Okay.
Okay, so my question, Julie, is that, as LDS people, I think the biggest concern that people have that I hear when they read your books is, why aren't our leaders being more urgent in their messages that we're getting from conference and other meetings we go to? Did you happen to see in any of your experiences a time when our leaders will be more urgent with their messages to the people and to the world?
Okay.
Great question.
First thing is the sermons have been preached, and they're still being preached. They're still being taught. And it depends on what area of the country you're living in and who your local leaders are, what's being given or shared at a given time. We have to trust in our leaders, but also trust in the Lord first and foremost, and then make sure that we're not just dependent on them, that we're being self-reliant and we're relying on the Lord and His Spirit to give us guidance we need, but then making sure it's in line with what the prophets and apostles have said and are saying. And, I'm not going anywhere until I know I'm supposed to go. And
that's coming from the brother, correct?
Right. Well, yeah. But, it's like if I need to make a job change or move my family somewhere, I'm not going to wait for someone else to tell me to do that. If I get clarity I need to do, I do it. But I'm also not going to jump the gun. Meaning, just because I know that at some point in time I'm going to end up further west, that doesn't mean I can skip all the steps I need to skip to get there, even though I'd like to. Can we just skip this and get to where our destination is? There's a process, line upon line, precept upon precept, and in staying the course, and some people say staying in the boat, keep your eye on the prophet. And I would be wary of anybody that's giving any kind of instruction or directive or having any kind of influence that in any way is taking away from, deterring, or distracting from sticking to the basics of obeying the prophet and listening to what is in the scriptures. And there is nothing that I have shared that goes against that. And if anybody takes the time to really look into this little bit that I've shared here or previously, they'll see that. They may not have the clarity on it, but they'll see it. And so if we have anybody in our lives that's maybe not understanding that, that's okay, because I don't know what the plan is for you or for someone else. I know what it is for me, and I can't speak for anyone else. I just know what I can share. And what I've experienced is real, and what I continue to experience is real. And no matter what anyone says or does is going to change the reality of that. No amount of false accusations or lies or conspiracies or any of that is going to change what I know to be true. And what I encourage and have been encouraged to do is to do what I can and to encourage other people to do what they can to...
I've got a break. I apologize, Julie. I've got a break right. Welcome back. This is Drivetime Live, the Mills Crenshaw Show. My special guest is Julie Rowe. And we've got some people who've been waiting for quite a while. Let's go to Cache Valley.
Just real quick, I got to finish up. Sorry, Mills.
Okay, go ahead, Julie.
The last caller, to be very specific, keep your eye on the prophet. And what I have been shown in my area is direct communication from headquarters, and that may or may not be how it happens for other people. I just know that's how it happens for me. And so if you haven't had a chance to read the second book, it goes into it some more, and as you read that, you've read it once and you feel like you need to read it again, the Spirit will tell you what you need to know for you and your family as individual.
All right, let's go to Cache Valley. David, welcome, sir.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. Julie, I just wanted to say I grew up during the Cold War and grew up in a very conspiratorial-minded family, and became a little bit disenchanted when many of the predictions that the conspiratorial-minded people had made did not come to pass. And so for years I've been very skeptical. And but as I read both of your books, they resonated in me, and I felt like there is something very close at hand. And I am a believer in the Book of Mormon and Moroni's admonition to us about secret combinations that rise among us, and to be wary of them, that they can take over governments. But one of the things that I'm concerned about is that there may be a lot of chaff out there as far as conspiracy theory that is more of a distraction than truth. But the other thing that I'm curious about, and I've often wondered, if future events are based upon something that is a centralized effort on the part of a cabal of some sort, or if it's a diffused conspiracy where there are...
I need to cut you off for just a minute, okay? We need to back up, because the energy is changing right now. I need people to kind of pay attention to that and what you're feeling. Okay, so we're going to back it up, okay, and address the first topic, which is conspiracies. Moroni and other prophets and apostles, the Book of Mormon serves as an additional witness. The second witness, Lord works through the mouth of 2 or 3 or more witnesses. The Book of Mormon is an additional witness, the second witness, and there are other witnesses to come forth later on. Talking about conspiracies, Moroni and others, prophets and apostles and other people, saw our day and what was abridged and selected to be given to those of us in the latter days to help us through our trials and tribulations and things that we would experience in our life. those passages were selected specifically for a type and shadow of what we can do and will experience. Everything written in the Scriptures that has happened throughout history, everything from the light and the whole spectrum, we can expect, and then some.
I believe
both
that.
Both of the light and that not of the light. Okay?
More specifically, though,
have been going on for a long time. There's nothing new there. They're the same ones. Those blood oaths and other things that were made basically even before the days of Cain, but here on earth with Cain, and passed down for generations. And some of that's going to get cleared up, but there's still others that are still carrying on those false beliefs and false traditions. And the other thing is with those conspiracies is they are very real, but what a lot, let's see. So what would be a great strategy for somebody who doesn't want us to believe that any conspiracy is true would be for them to come up with crazy conspiracies that are so outlandish that we get so tired of hearing them and we get so sick of the weirdness of it that we just tune it all out and we don't want this like this, you know? So
yeah, can I ask a specific question?
Real, you know, and so there is a lot of facade going on, but there's also a lot of core content that is real, and we don't need to get caught up in the distractions and the details of it. We just need to know it's real, they're real, and then like keep our eye on the mark and just do what we got to do.
Okay.
Can I ask a specific
David,
question?
your specific question, very briefly.
Yeah, I'm just curious from what I've read about and heard comments that you've made about the current president. My question is he well-intentioned but over his head? Is he a useful idiot, or is he actively involved in what is about to occur?
Give me a minute to see how I'm supposed to answer that, okay?
While she's thinking on that, let me
I got it. He's very aware. He's very knowing. But his knowledge is limited because the puppet masters control the puppet until the puppet is no longer needed.
Okay.
And then they bring in the next set to orchestrate their other plan. That's not it. To orchestrate their other devices.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent question. And David, I just want you to know that is deeper than you may suspect. I hesitate to take the next call. We've got a couple of very important calls that are coming in, one from Sue in Texas, one from Lonnie in Washington State. And I think you're going to want to answer both of these. But we've got a break coming up in less than a minute. So I'll hold those off, Julie, with your kind consent. You're listening to Drive Time Live, the Mills Crenshaw Show on 1430 KLO. We welcome all of your callers. I'm hoping that we'll get a caller from the far eastern part of the United States, from New York, or maybe even from another country, from people who are listening on their computer. My special guest, Julie Rowe. We've got people who are waiting. Let's go to Texas. And Sue. Sue, welcome.
Hi there.
Hi, Sue.
Are you there? Hi. Hi, Julie. Thanks. I was at the seminar that you conducted in Dallas, and I really enjoyed that there. You said a couple of things that struck me, and this is a two-part thing, and neither one are related to the other. But you did say that Texas and states nearby are going to be inundated from South and Central America.
Yes. So first of all, I didn't do a seminar. I did a fireside chat, hour and a half or something, however long I was there.
Right.
And I just kind of bore witness and bore testimony of the Father and his Son, the need of the
and that was extremely,
That was extremely inspiring. It was at the end, almost to the end of the talk that you gave, and that kind of struck me.
That part about, and that was a question answer, right? Somebody asked a question of what I saw there, and the little bit that I shared was essentially what's been revealed through other sources already, so it's not new information.
No, it's not.
But yes, yeah.
So
and so people read their scriptures and study maybe Cleon Skousen and some of his work, Dwayne Crowther, and there's some really good books out there. I haven't read those. I've just been guided to send people that way if they want to do a little more research for some, documented sources and research that has been done, and taking scriptures. Also, read the book of Isaiah. So yeah, great things happening with the Native Americans, and there'll be some preliminary stuff that has to do with everything from those coming from Central and South America. Some fleeing on foot and other means to get in. We're seeing a lot of that already, and we'll just see some more. And then, actually, these people from the United States that'll try to go the other way. We can't picture that right now, but I have seen some of that. And then, we got that tsunami thing coming up, too, in the Gulf. So, lots of reasons.
Yeah, I get that, too. My question is, I have children who really think I've drunk the Kool-Aid because, I'm trying to tell them that their happy little world is about to change and they need to wake up and start getting prepared or start getting on board. And
I think that's called a call to repentance.
Yeah. They think they're drinking the Kool-Aid? Well, I would say that it's not the first time that I've had people accuse me of being crazy or drinking the Kool-Aid, but you know what? Kool-Aid's not a bad thing to suck up on. I've never really regularly bought it for my kids, but somebody gave me a great idea that we might get tired of drinking some of the same old stuff. Might be a good idea to have some Kool-Aid on hand.
All right, gotcha. My question is there any one event that sort of precipitates it? Is there any major event, stock market crash, blah, 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 within a particular time frame that I could say, okay, look for this. If this happens, then will you listen? Is there anything?
It's any and all of it, but really it's like what Mills said, we just need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to repent and get our life in order so that whatever side of the veil we're called upon to do the Lord's work, we're ready for that. For some, it'll be here, and for others, they'll be called back to meet their Maker so they can be utilized on the forces for good on the other side, because that's where they're needed, and it was agreed upon that they would, help out.
I was just really trying to find something that I could pinpoint to them and say, look, look for this. If this happens, then maybe you'll stop and listen to me before it's too late.
I will say there'll be at least one smaller, some people might call it a good big earthquake, but not compared to the one that I saw coming to Wasatch Front later on after some more gathering has occurred. I would say if coming up this fall we see some things going on economically or any kind of earthquake action in the Wasatch Front or elsewhere, that's a good clue to wake up to the tribulation starting pretty soon.
Sue, let me interject something here. This is not coming from Julie, but
I understand.
But a good friend that I know and respect and have known for 40 years, Lindsey Williams, who is a Christian minister.
Yeah, I've heard of him, yes, and I've heard some of his talk. Yeah.
Well, he has sent me an email within the last few days saying that he has been told by his elite friends that the economic collapse is planned and scheduled for September, close quote.
Okay.
For what it's worth. But I'm not speaking for Julie. I want to make it clear.
No.
And I've given you the source.
What I need to do to get clarity on that is his quote-unquote elite friends. The Lord does not work with elite. He has the elect, and that's different than elite.
I understand.
And even the very elect will be deceived, or can be, but they don't have to be if they're paying attention and have their eye on the mark, which is the Lord and the Savior, and being aware and getting our lives in order, however that may be, on any level, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically preparing. Doesn't matter how many physical preparations we have, if we are not spiritually where we need to be, we're going to miss the mark. So that's individual. And the other thing is not being afraid. This so-called market crash, economy crash, initial, whenever that happens, whether it's September or later on, whenever that happens, it's not the big one. It's intended to be the big one. It's intended to be the big one. Marker, and then people will be lulled back into carnal security, go ahead and spend too much money, and then be invited to gather before the real storms hit.
Sue, thank you very much. I apologize. We are so short of time. We go from down south in Texas up north to Washington State. Lonnie, welcome.
Hello. Hi, Mills. Hi, Julie. I love listening to you. And I've been to one of your, I don't know if you call it a seminar or get-together.
No.
But in Seattle.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know.
Anyway, I just loved it, and I've read all your books. But anyway, my question is, I heard that you were at another, actually I have two questions, though. I heard that you were at another gathering, meeting, and you had mentioned that when you looked out in the crowd, this is what I heard, so I want to know if it's true, that when you looked out into the crowd that you saw about 5 people in that crowd that made it in the Seattle. Is that a truth?
Are you talking about in the crowd that was gathered in that room in Seattle?
Out, yeah.
That's a misquote.
It's a misquote. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And the other thing I want to know...
There are many that would be called upon to serve in that area and stay on both sides of the veil, and there'll be many that will flee. Some that will be invited to gather and will go, and others that will choose not to, and some that will go later, and some that will flee, maybe just barefoot or with the clothes on their backs, carrying their kids into Idaho or other areas.
Okay, I heard that, and I'm preparing. So I'm hoping I'll be one of the people who get to help other people. But anyway, my other question is, I am thinking about. I actually tried it. I'm not sure what the Lord feels about this, and I thought I would ask you asking questions with muscle testing, like the sway test. Is that something testing, that is okay?
You got to make sure. I always pray before, after, and during if I need to. Muscle testing is a tool the Lord's given us. There can be interference. So it's a tool to help us learn to discern. And really, it's the Spirit that speaks to us. So it's a tool, but you're not supposed to just rely on it.
Okay. But it's not.
And we don't ask questions about the future. There are certain eternal laws that go with that. And it's how you ask the question, and that's learning things for the Spirit. You don't ask, what the lottery numbers are, or what's going to happen tomorrow, or do this, do I do that. You know what I mean? Like I don't do a sway test and muscle test and ask the Lord, should I buy a trailer? I get on my knees and I pray and I ponder and I research and I use my brain and I study it out, and then I wait upon the Lord for an answer until I get clarity to act.
Okay.
Thank you.
And any time you get an answer, whether it's for muscle testing or any other answer, if it's not in line with light and truth and the way the Lord speaks, then that's a false message.
Yes.
The Lord will never give us a message that contradicts a commandment that He's given us or previously revealed truth and doctrine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your call. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona, so I've got to take Nicole's call from Gilbert, Arizona. Nicole, welcome.
Hi.
Beautiful Gilbert Temple.
Yeah.
Hey, Julie, how are
Those
you?
will be places of refuge. Temples are places
awesome.
of refuge. They always have been. In a different way. They are now. So go to the temple, guys. Sorry, go ahead.
So I just have a question regarding the diseases and plagues that are coming.
Mm-hmm.
My question is that in Visions of Glory, Spencer saw that it was the healthiest people who died first. And I am just wondering if you saw anything like that, or if you think there's any truth to that, and why maybe that might be.
Okay. I can't speak to his experience and what he did or didn't see, or what he does or doesn't understand, because his was individual to him, like mine is to me. What I can say is that I did see several different plagues, some very specific, some that match up identically to some that he talks about. Some of the scenarios are very similar, if not identical, and many of them are different. The way I look at it is it didn't seem to have any kind of quote-unquote rhyme or reason to it, any kind of pattern or system, although the Lord does work in order, and his house is a house of order, and he does have means and ability to heal any and all if it's part of the plan, or to prevent or to clear out whatever needs to be cleared out, stipulated often upon our faith and our obedience to gospel principles, and upon the Lord's housetop, he will cleanse his church first before he cleanses the other. So, yeah, I saw people with a simple flu bug that died that that had no other health problems, and then I saw people that were very, very sick who had miraculous healing, and it went the other way around. Some people that didn't seem to get sick at all. I mean, and how that was decided, there's no cut and dried answer for that I can give. It goes back to whatever that plan was, and trusting that if we lose a loved one, or I should say maybe when we do, because I think that will affect just about everybody on the planet to some degree or another, we will all have losses. It's just a transition, right? We all come into this world, and we all have to go out of it at some point in time, or transition. Some people will just transition and change. Other people will pass to their side and be resurrected later, and some will just keep living on into the millennium, or however long. And so that's my clarity and my understanding is continuing to just keep our eye on the Lord, and trusting that no matter what happens to us or to those around us and those that we love, recognizing that it's in the Lord's hands. We're not innocent victims, although people will be victimized and have been. We always have choice, and yeah. So that's probably about all I'm
I do remember.
I'm sorry, Nicole, but we're coming up on a hard break, and we've got to move on. But I do appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Julie, in about 20 seconds or so, we have a hard break coming up. I know there are a lot of callers who want to get through. We'll take them as quickly as we possibly can. You're listening to Drivetime Live, the Mills Crenshaw Show. It's Katie from Connecticut. Katie, do we have you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. Okay, you're on. Can we get rid of that tone?
Okay, so I have a question.
Go ahead.
Had an area authority tell us in the east that Hurricane Irene was just a precursor to a bigger storm to hit the East Coast. I was wondering if Julie foresees another one soon, and how we can prepare for one bigger than Irene.
Julie, apparently part of the technical problem was we lost Julie. Don't go away. We'll get her right back.
Okay.
And I do apologize, but a great question. Was Irene a precursor, or is it more significant than that? Okay, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and get Julie back on.
Okay.
But I appreciate your calling us from Connecticut. Are you getting it clearly on your computer?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine on my computer.
Okay, excellent. I hope you'll also tune in tomorrow. Totally different kind of guest. And if you have never heard my guests before, you'll find that Craig Hewlett is very knowledgeable, and he knows the players. He knows the insiders, and he doesn't hesitate to call them out. We're still waiting for Julie to get back on so that we can have her answer your question. And is there anything else that I can answer for you in the meantime? I realize that Julie's the one you're calling to talk to.
Actually, yeah, I might have a question you can answer. I'm not sure, but I was wondering if you knew if there was a specific reason why Julie got to be on your show again today. If she felt impressed to be on again, or...
I'll be happy to tell you. I had invited Julie many times on another station, and for her own reasons, she had refused to come on. But the minute I changed that station, she was eager and happy to come on and talk to all of you in the audience.
Hey, Mills, I'm finally back.
Oh, good.
I've been trying for 5 minutes. I got cut off again. How about that interference?
Isn't that interesting?
I think we're supposed to wrap it up with a couple of things here that I need to say before we end.
But before we do, she was asking about the big hurricane on the East Coast. Is that just a precursor?
Which one? Which hurricane?
Irene, I think it was. I think it was Hurricane Irene.
There'll be some other big ones. Yeah, no, there'll be some other big ones coming. Like we haven't ever seen before. Kind of unimaginable on the scale of what, yeah. But again, provisions have been made on the Lord's side for those who need rescuing, etc.
Unfortunately, that does it. Thank you for being with us. And for those who have been left on the line, please call in tomorrow. Different guests, but I think you'll be very rewarded.
And if they have any other interest, they can just go Google my name or go to my website, JulieRowePrepare.com. There's other radio shows you and I have done, some with some other people. And
CBS News, I'm Bill Whitney.